And we are recording with housekeeping. Hello, housekeeping. Joseph Dolio. I'm here to keep your khakis crisp. Mr. Joseph Dolio here on Saturday, December 10th, 2022 at 4:13 p.m. Eastern Time, episode 1021. Who did the attack on North Carolina, and are you sorry?
Well, I will point out that one of my associates left that region rather quickly as the attack was unfolding, but we will neither confirm nor deny whether there was any involvement.
Good Lord.
Um, but I think having shiny badges nearby, whoever did it had shiny badges nearby too. Let's
Think,
just let's just
think
go
so.
with that.
So,
So
so what was it? Was it domestic terrorism? Was this a foreign nation state? Was this a red cell drill that went too far? Is this a private corporation who's going to conveniently sell security to power grids? Is this the U.S. government killing down its own people? Is this the Great Reset? Is this all the above?
I think it's kind of a mishmash of a few. If you really want to understand what happened, you need to go back just a couple of days beforehand, to the Thursday before, when the Department of Homeland Security issued a new NTAS, or National Threat Assessment System alert, that said that we are entering an increased time of threat of domestic terror. What's ironic is they don't tell you who, but they imply heavily. And they mention that, anti-government actors, people upset over January 6th, and they throw this gem into the middle. They say threat against faith-based organizations, particularly Jewish in nature. They want you then to assume that they mean white supremacists, but they didn't. There has actually been an increased number of attacks on Jewish facilities by what is known as the Black Hebrew Israelites. But they can't say that because of that first word in Black Hebrew Israelites, right? If you go back over the last, I don't know, 8 years or so, Black Hebrew Israelites have conducted more terror attacks in America than anyone. The Dallas PD shooting, the Baton Rouge PD shooting, the Waukesha Christmas parade attack, which was a year ago on the day they released the alert, right? Interesting, right? They've committed attacks throughout the country. And that's where this threat comes from. So that happened. And when it first happened, I said, watch out for the khaki and blue boys. They're going to show up anytime soon, right? And sure enough, lo and behold, 24 hours later, we've got the Patriot Front. But I wanted to point something out. They obviously watch you and I, because we mentioned how they are uniform in appearance and everything. All of a sudden, they show up not in uniform this time. Now
Okay.
they're wearing flannel shirts and jeans, but ironically, they're all wearing the
The
same
same flannel
flannel
shirts.
shirts
Yeah, okay.
and jeans, still with a less than 50%, 15% deviation in body fat, and entirely homogenous. So, what's funny is they showed up one day, then the next day, some new right wing Christo fascist group shows up. Same guys, look just like them, carrying the same shields, everything else. And I'll point out they're still carrying the Ohio state flag, whatever. Um, so they exist about as much as Ohio.
Okay.
But the point is, they put out this alert. They have a sudden appearance of the Patriot Front, and then you have an attack by unknown parties on the power grid. And what's amazing is, whenever something like this happens, we generally get the breathless reporting, like every 20 minutes, an update on the investigation. You haven't heard a peep about this investigation. Uh, Pretty simple. It's much like the January 6th pipe bomber. They know exactly who did it. We've conducted an investigation to determine we did it. They
Yeah.
don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that what happened is they're not getting enough actual homegrown terror to meet this agenda they want to have. So they're going to drum a little up, even if they got to do it themselves. And what's funny is that whoever committed this attack was well aware of not just the Metcalf attack, but the classified version of the Metcalf attack report, which would indicate that they had badges in their pockets, right? Because the way in which the attack occurred was pretty specific to the Metcalf incident, right down to the same caliber of rounds, and a little bit different fact pattern though. Let me bust some of the myths the media has spread, that two power plants were attacked. That's not true. There were a total of 12 substations that came under fire, two of which actually had successful attacks. The other 10 had limited damage, not up to the level of a power failure. Had you had 4 or 5 of them that actually were successful, most of the eastern seaboard would probably be in the dark right now. There were also some fiber optic lines cut between these substations. So that's the part that was actually in the more classified version. So they knew enough to do that as well to make repairs more difficult. And something that unavoidably had to come out because people in the neighborhood saw it is a couple days ago, someone fired on repair crews that were attempting to fix the damage.
Oh
So
fuck.
they didn't hit anyone, but there was some gunfire towards them. Um, it's interesting. So now, as people have been inquiring about it, there were 7 attacks in Florida last month, and then there were, I believe, 3 in North Carolina last month as well, centered around the Camp Lejeune and Cherry Point Naval Air Station, where the Second Marine Air Wing is based. So this one is right off of Bragg. That one was right off of Camp Lejeune. I don't know if I'm a foreign nation state and I wanted to take some action. Those are a couple places I would probably want to cause havoc in. But then again, if I'm a federal government who just needs some more domestic terror, these are also good targets.
Yeah. And they're limited enough to not actually do like actual damage. Like it's not nothing for the people who are, lost power. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this was kind of like there's nothing.
Right. And here's the thing too, is if I wanted to inspire copycats to go out and do the same thing, I'd do something like this and say, look at how easy it was. And now that's what we're seeing is we're seeing attempted copycat attacks in the Pacific Northwest by our friends wearing all black and things like that. But they're going up with power tools and attempting to damage these. I'm going to tell you right now, if you walk up to a power substation and you take a drill and attempt to damage it, that whole problem is going to sort of work itself out. And the
Yeah.
only thing that's going to get shorted out is you.
Yeah.
And
Darwin
so,
smiles. Yeah.
yeah, Darwin will smile upon you, brother.
Darwin will smile at the fireworks. Um, yeah, so just I just did an episode and talking about this, so I was just kind of thinking of all things that it could be, and kind of process of elimination is it doesn't seem to have had anything to do with the elections, right? It's not like you did it on the day of, not Thanksgiving, not Christmas. And it is weird that it's near Fort Bragg. Like that is, you're playing with fire, but tiny enough that again nothing kind of really happened from it. Doesn't seem to be idiot frat boys getting drunk. Like this was surgical. They knew what they were doing. Um, the only thing, and I don't think they're even related, but the only thing I could even remotely is if the attack in North Carolina was on December 3rd, the B-21 Raider was unveiled on December 2nd. The only thing, and I said this in the last episode, if I had to bullshit my way into getting partial credit on an answer, it would be somebody unveiled the new stealth bomber and some other nation states reaching out and saying, we can still touch you.
Well,
I have about
that's
3% confidence in that answer, but that's the best I have.
that is one possibility. The other is that in that general area also, there's a certain amount of people who live or work on Bragg who live there, and these are the people who were most resistant to getting the jab and to advancing certain narratives within the U.S.
Hmm.
military. Same kinds of folks who live on Camp Lejeune, folks who were the Marine Corps had the lowest level of vaccination and dragged its feet as long as it could, and is also conducting its own training program separate of the rest of the military, training to operate with no support from the rest of the U.S. military. That might give you some sort of an indication.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, right. That's actually pretty cool. They say it's because they plan on fighting a defensive war against China. I don't. I think there's a bigger
Well, no,
motive.
that's still the same answer.
It's still
You're
the same
fighting
answer.
against China. Yeah.
Yeah, same answer.
Yes, against the rest of
Um,
the
but if I wanted to cause more unrest in the U.S., this might be a way in which I would do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it does. I mean, maybe you're drilling up more support against Ukraine. And the other thing is again, going for that, like sitting after class with the professor, trying to get him not to fail you. Just like, all right, here's another, maybe an answer is like
right.
kind of a theme with Russia, Ukraine right now, and the EU, Nord Stream, people using firewood. Is there is a general theme of like cutting energy and the winter is coming. Again, that's a bullshit answer, but like,
Well, I'm going to be honest though. If the Russians had done it, they'd have been a lot more effective.
yeah, and I think they probably would have gone farther north.
Yeah, yeah, they probably been more widespread.
Maybe they were maybe
Right,
they were fooled by North Carolina. They thought it was the
they thought they were in the north. Yeah, dang it,
cla-
we're in the south again.
classic
Frack,
mix up.
foiled again.
Classic mix up. No, come attack me. I'm in Maine. I'll freeze to death.
But here's the thing too. I would have picked a more impactful target because, yeah, it's wintertime, but it doesn't exactly get all that cold in North Carolina, right?
Which is why I think it's more because, and the woman I just had on before here, Claire Lopez, she pointed out, she was like, well, the Metcalf attack was more of your proof of concept that it works,
Yep,
that you
I've
can
been
do
saying
it.
that for
So
years.
yeah, so that logic doesn't apply here. The only thing I could think of is that was almost 10 years ago. Maybe you're testing to see if it still works, but it does seem more like a probe because if it's not in that impactful an area, it's not that far north and it's not that widespread. It either seems like a proof of concept, which kind of voids itself because now people are aware of it and thinking about it and looking into it, which would then make me think it was meant to be seen and caught, which sounds more like a shot across the bow. Now, who's firing that shot? Is it China? Is it Russia? Is it our own government trying to drill up support? Is this just someone trying to fucking push forward a hardening of the American power grid? Is this just some fucking cutthroat capitalist?
I'm again more likely to think it's accelerationists with badges, right? I'm more likely to
Yeah,
believe it's the federal government because when you think North Carolina, what's the image of the local guy that you have in your head?
a guy who doesn't use pronouns.
Right, white
Yeah.
guy, beard, flannel shirt, whole 9 yards, talks. So it is there to create that exact image,
Yeah.
right? To drum it up as some redneck out here shooting this thing up and all of that. However, it was pretty technically advanced, so that kind of goes against that whole theory.
Or
So
they're
go ahead.
they're gonna track this back to it's an anti-Semitic attack, and the person will have
Absolutely.
conveniently they either have left behind a manifesto or typed one up on 4chan saying they were inspired by Yee's bold assertions, and that wow, I think we're really seeing the results of a truly free Twitter.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. And here's the thing: I think the reason why we haven't heard anything about investigations yet is they're building up to something. Now, the um, Center for Infrastructure Security, whatever it is, CISA.
ISIS.
Yeah, yeah, right. Same thing.
No. I just had on. No. Sorry, there's something else. There's nuclear. It's the International for Science. There is something called
Uh,
ISIS. Sorry, go on.
inside the DHS, there's a group called the Infrastructure and Electronic Security Group, whatever it is. They've issued an alert for Monday that there is to be follow-up power grid attacks on Monday, the 12th. So, first of all, if you're watching this, maybe on Monday be a little more aware of your surroundings and maybe make sure you've got gas in the morning and take all the steps that my books will tell you to take.
Joe's
But be a
books
little
will
bit
be in the
ready.
description. Find them on Amazon. You can also follow his Twitter. All those links will be in the description.
I just thought I would throw it in there.
I
But
like it. Smooth. I like it.
be a little more prepared on Monday and let's see what happens Monday. I mean, I've always been a little bit skeptical when they say you need to watch out on this day because something might happen that day. And then lo and behold, something happens on exactly the day the federal government said it was going to happen. They're not that good at their jobs.
Which makes me think, yeah, I don't. It might be that it's not that like sexy of an answer. I really do think this might be like it is the federal government, but not to drill up domestic terrorism. They're pushing this forward because there's going to be some new infrastructure bill about hardening the U.S. power grid. Like
Yeah,
it
I think
might.
that that ship has sailed. We're too busy spending money hardening the electrical grid in the Ukraine.
Well, no,
We
no,
don't
we
want
wouldn't actually do it. It would just you would just fund a bill for $1 trillion that would go to Raytheon. But I mean that's a given. Of course, they're not going to actually do it. But I mean,
yeah.
could there be something wider? Or I mean, or it's going to come out that yeah, this is why the Department of Homeland Security had to have their people in Twitter, because if we don't have that, now this happens, and this is how hard our job is. So you either let us ban it on Twitter, or it's coming to your front door via power grid failure.
Yeah,
I I
absolutely.
I think they're gonna bring this into Twitter. I don't.
Well, they've
Russia.
already done that sort of an indication. So the last 2 days, there's just been tons of stories being planted by Adam Schiff and several others about the rise in hate on Twitter, which is ludicrous because it's completely untrue. And what's so funny is that 2 months ago, Twitter was a private company that could do whatever it wanted. Now, all of a sudden, a new guy buys it and vows to be a little more open about how things are. And all of a sudden, Twitter must be regulated and it shouldn't be a private company.
I'm not. I'm not against. I think you can sort of judo and use the NPCs to your own ends. I think there you go. Yes, you're right. We should. Section 230 should be enforced on all companies. I'll take that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
even if it means that it took until Elon took it over, and that's the thing is like trying to like point out the hypocritical nature is a fool's errand. They're
Yeah.
never they're never gonna examine it. You're never gonna go, isn't that weird how up until now it's a private company, but the second this happens, they're just gonna say it's bad. Might as well use that dumb force to your advantage and just be like,
Right. And
how do we guide it?
I'm not the biggest Elon simp in the world. I'll tell you right up front that he's not what he claims to be, and people need to stop being fooled by him. But if he accomplishes that one thing for us,
No, give
hey,
credit where credit's due. I mean, he does want to do all the same things that Klaus Schwab wants to do, which is,
yeah,
kind of scary when Klaus, again, this is kind of their own, this is a perfect example, right? Up until now, Twitter's a private company, but now it's evil and it must be stopped. You just care because there's been a change of management. When Klaus Schwab's like, everything needs to be automated AI with a chip in your brain, we're like, it's the fucking Antichrist. When Elon does it, we're like 69 420, bro. And it's like,
yeah,
this is this. He wants to put chips in your brain, guided by his
literally
orbital
that's his
satellite.
goal. Yeah,
This is, but it's not Klaus, it's Elon. So it's sick and funny and 69.
yeah,
Yeah, man, I
it's
don't
weird.
know.
It's weird. So I think on the whole power thing, I would be paying attention to what else is happening. I'd up my awareness and realize that this is exactly how fragile it is. All it takes is a light poke, and the entire thing falls over. You know what else is funny? You haven't heard is the glorious restoration of power. When they said that the power was going to come back on by Thursday, Thursday came and went, and no one made an announcement either way. That's because the power is not fully back on, and they don't want to share that, right?
Hmm.
So the parts needed to restore the power aren't kept in stockpiles anywhere. And the turnaround time on some of those parts is 440 days.
Jesus.
So,
Yeah,
had this been more widespread, you'd be in a much worse place. And you know what? People say, oh, maybe you shouldn't tell people that. Well, actually, I think we should tell people that and let them realize the actual risk, right?
the fragility.
And you know what? Just like I said with the churches when they were going to burn them all down there a few months ago, maybe it's time for you to find your local neighborhood substation and you and your neighbors just take turns keeping an eye on it. I'm not saying get out there with rifles and guard it. I'm saying, hey, you see a car by it, make a phone call,
Yeah.
right? Do what you can to protect it because we are at risk. And whether there are actual bad actors going to take action on Monday or guys in khakis and blue jackets and white masks going to take action on Monday matters not. The risk is Monday, and you need to kind of be paying attention through Monday.
Have I have I taken the bait? Have we been fooled? is someone going to conveniently leave a manifesto there and be like, well, I was watching Tommy's podcast. Are
I
they
would I would
finally
not bet against it.
is
I
Patriot
wouldn't bet
Front finally getting their vengeance on us? It was 4 months in the making, but they have stayed low and they have moved in the shadows. And then the attack on the substation is somehow pinned on me and Dolio. I wouldn't even be mad. I would just slow clap.
stranger things have happened, and you know what it do? It probably just send sails through the roof, so I'm down with it.
It's just you and I in orange jumpsuits out at ADX Florence. I wouldn't even. I would just slow clap. I'd be like, those khaki boys, they fucking
Good.
did it.
Well done. You guys got us. That was
I'd be,
good.
I'd be like, that's solid. That's solid. I'm gonna kill you all, but that was solid. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
You know, I told my wife that when the federal government finally kills me, book sales are going to go through the roof, and she's going to be doing great.
No, my only hope is that when they do kill me, it's at least on a podcast. Let
Oh,
that
even
fuck,
better.
dude. That would be such a good bookend. They'll
Yeah.
I mean, that's how the documentary will end. That's how it will start. Is just me catching one in the face, and then it'll be like Tommy's podcast, produced by whoever. And that,
Screen will go to black, and
yeah, and it will just, yeah, and then I'll just kind of like fade to like an interview with Dale, and Dale will be like, he was pissing off too many people too fast, and just like, Dr. Malone be like, he had a good heart, but bull in a china shop. That's how it will go, and then it'll be you behind bars, and you're gonna be like, I know, I don't think I knew the man, and it just a whole breadcrumb of like I was getting crypto from China and Saudi Arabia, and
Tommy was way too inquisitive. Is
it
just too
was
much.
it was so fucking it was so far in. God, I hope so. That's my own ego. But
You
no, the
know, that
podcast will
reminds me.
succeed wildly. Yeah.
I had a guy today send me a message about, hey man, I want to buy your books, but I want to pay you in crypto. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I only take real money.
Yeah.
So
I want to pay you in crypto. By the way, can you show
it's
me how to
FTX.
can you show me how to shorten the barrel of my gun? Because I
Yeah.
really hate the federal government. And you're like, fuck right off. I was thinking
It's,
you and I get around and go watch some Tommy's podcast. And I think we should saw off this. And I've got some bump stocks, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
we'll show you how to use this oil filter to make a silencer.
How do we do that? And maybe we throw on some Tommy's podcast and listen to Dale in the background. I sure love that Elon's making it free for all of us Nordic Crusaders. Am I right? Am I right, bro? Yeah, cocksuckers. Well then, is there any so let's just kind of what the most uninteresting outcome. What would be the most uninteresting outcome of this?
Literally nothing. We go back to life as it is.
No, I guess I mean not excuse me, not outcome. Explanation. This is because this doesn't
Um,
seem like your incel just saying fuck it because they go on mass shootings, right? So this
right.
it can't really fall under that umbrella.
I'm gonna be honest. The most uninteresting thing would be a couple of bubbas got drunk and decided to shoot up a power transformer. I'd be like, really? That's
That
what you want to sell it to us as?
that
I don't know.
would be incredible
Yeah.
if that actually
Well, when
was
I've
the
actually heard
explanation.
people float that idea, I'm like, that's actually a little bit nonsensical given the fact that Bubba's probably didn't have something in the right caliber, right? You took an AK-47 or something in 7.62 by 39 to do it. What are the odds they had the exact same gun as the Metcalf incident, right? And being drunk and being precision, really not the same thing.
Not with
So
that attitude, but is there any way that this gets tied into the climate activists gluing their hands to
oh, absolutely.
that would be great.
Absolutely. Because for the past, oh, I don't know, 12 years or so, there's been a really big problem in the Pacific Northwest with train derailments. And we're going to save the environment by derailing a coal train, which creates a spill that ruins, several hundred acres of forested land because my climate change, right? But they've been well known to do sabotage and things like that, and they would love nothing more than to take the grid down because think of all of the things we could save. So when I was a kid in Michigan, when the ELF Environmental Liberation Front was a thing, they came to
What a
Michigan.
faggoty name, Elf.
Elf or the elves.
Oh,
They came
come
to
on.
Michigan to free the minks, right? So at Michigan State University, there's a mink research lab. They blew it up, and they're like, "We're freeing the minks." Yeah, well, you just killed 400 and something mink. Great job, well done. But that's kind of the way they think, right? do the damage first and figure it out later. It's entirely possible it comes back to some sort of environmentalist thing.
That might be what the lack of reporting is.
Could
Is
be.
this is not this doesn't look good. This is people were filled with hatred, but it
Well, I
was
saw a
more.
meme that said Greta's the one who cut the pipeline in the
Well,
North Sea,
well, she
so in the
did.
Baltic. So maybe it was Greta again.
Greta and some like just the four lens nods going in. Her
Yeah,
and Dale. You see Dale. Dale's like, I've been completely convinced we are in the great mass extinction. That's the problem, is if you win over Dale, there's nothing you can't do. Dale's just like, humans are cancer.
yeah,
The dolphins need to return to Venice. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Dale dyes his mustache fucking rainbow colored. That's the end of the world. If they get to
that is the
Dale,
end of the world.
it put a gun in your mouth because Dale's coming for you. Um, yeah, I don't. If it was Russia, this would have been on every notification on every news, right? This was
Yeah, we'd be talking about it nonstop,
an attack on our liberties and it would somehow yield in more support to Ukraine. It would have nothing to do with the substation.
right?
It would all end up
So
there.
it's funny. I have a side point I wanted to make. Um, so the other day, I think it was Friday, there was a news story about these portable beds the Ukrainians have invented, right?
Sleeping bags,
The ingenuity of the Ukrainian craftsmen in creating these portable beds that the troops can
cots.
carry. It's a cot. It's literally the same cot I have in my house that I bought from Cabela's. But they're talking about it. And so you go in and you read the comments, and like Americans have become stupid. Like, oh my God, they should market this after the war. There would be such a market for this. I'm like, I've been sleeping on one since the late 70s. Right. I mean, seriously, the cot is not new, bro. But it's the ingenuity of if you just put the word Ukrainian in front of it, everything is new again. So I've decided that I'm going to recreate the wheel and change my name to Ivan Ukranislav, and the money is going to roll in, bro. It's
Money's
going to
gonna
roll in.
flow. Well, I'll have you know, I invented the podcast, Slava
Yeah,
Ukrainian.
there you go,
Yeah.
bro.
No, there's only like one subreddit I ever use anymore, mostly because I'm banned from Reddit. But it's our special access. And it's just about special access program. I mean, it's like a field day on there because they've been discussing the B-21 Raider for the last like 8 years. And there was, people submit old declassified stuff from like a lot of Star Wars programs from the 80s, and it's all just mind-boggling shit. But one of them was like an anti-satellite Russian missile in order to take out our SDI network in like the 80s. And it's like a blueprint cutaway. You always see those like old like cutaways of like a jet
Yep.
engine. It's just a million things labeled, and it's just like Jesus Christ. And it was just this cutaway of a warhead and all these different like super cooled cesium reflectors and just whatever, just the paranoia of the Cold War. And it's a pretty apolitical subreddit. People they just want to see special access programs, and nobody gives a
Right.
fuck. It's just cheering on ingenuity. And there was some comment there that you can like sense the NPC glazed eyes. It just said, fuck anything Russian, love anything Ukrainian.
Yeah.
And it was just the gloss just comes over the eyes, and it's just Slava Ukraini. Nothing else.
So there's like this little tourist town north of here called Frankenmuth, and it's done up like an old German town, and they sell stuff from all over the world there in the gift shops. So we're walking through the other day, and at the bottom there's these Russian the nesting dolls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just selling them, they have this like whole page long explanation of why it's okay for them to still sell them even though the war is on. And I'm like, nah, screw that. I take the sign down. Let somebody come in here and give you an attitude about it. It's not the people that are at war with each other. It's the governments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know a lot of Russian people and I know a lot of Ukrainian people. And guess what? The Ukrainian people go to the Russian people's house, and the Russian people go to the Ukrainian people's house, and we all get along. None of us have tried to kill each other.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Nobody gives a fuck. Yeah, nobody actually. It's like all those idiots like earlier this year that were pouring out. That's what the comedian Tim Dillon said. He goes, "That's about the extent of the American response. It's a bunch of retards dumping out Russian vodka that's actually made in America."
Yeah.
That's
or the International Mustard Museum removing a Russian mustard. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make. That's good. The war will be over by noon. My
well,
God, the mustard's not on display anymore. Or Walmart not carrying Russian dressing. Yeah, boys, pack it up. Come on back, man.
over,
Walmart's
boy.
not carrying Russian dressing anymore.
No, I think what's going to be really fascinating is in the year 2040 when the Azov Battalion sets off a bomb in Lower Manhattan.
We've been talking about this at least twice a week over on the Council of Future Conflict.
Well, the
We're creating
Mujahideen's
the next
already
Al Qaeda.
happened. Yeah, but they'll
What's
change the name. That's the thing, though, right? Because Mujahideen, Al Qaeda, you gotta rebrand, air horn, right? We're gonna
Yeah.
have a new. I don't know what it will be, but it'll be Zelensky, and it won't even make sense. He'll have the jihad beard, and they'll find a cave in Ukraine, and that's where
Okay.
he'll start. And then we'll go hunt Zelensky down, who will be the most elusive figure in the world. But that's what it will be: is a
Yeah.
ragtag group of Azov battalions will bring down the new Freedom Tower. That's how it's. Spoiler alert. That's what's happening in 2042.
This is, and then they're going to go on a march across Europe, taking over land, just like ISIS did in Syria and Iraq. We're creating right now that the Azov aligned groups are the most well-armed military force in Europe at this point.
Yeah.
And everyone in Europe is disarming themselves to arm the literal Nazis. And this makes zero sense to me, right? Everyone there suffered at the hand of the Nazis, right?
But
And
you're
so
not
we're going to arm them.
you're not thinking about it through. You gotta go through the looking glass. You gotta
Yeah.
go into the fucking. You gotta go into Dick Cheney's head on September 10th. You gotta be like, how do we keep this empire running? That's exactly what you do. Is you
You know,
disarm everyone and arm the Nazis. How else are you going to have the people screeching saying we don't have enough B-21 Raiders?
yeah.
Yeah, no, they're not. It's evil, but they're not stupid. I mean, this is.
Well, here's the dumb thing. We're developing the B-21 Raider for us. At the same time, we're eliminating all of our war stocks of any weapon system that it might carry to give them to Ukraine.
Well, again,
And,
it's because you have to have that fear. When the
yeah.
war with China comes, we got to come out and say, it was our own bleeding heart. We gave everything to Ukraine, which is why we need to rearm.
It's also why we lost to China in 48 hours.
Well, no, that's
Oh,
why the original
did I let
attack
the
will
cat
take
out of the
place.
bag?
That will be the original. Don't spoil it. I mean, I'm at a point now where I'm like, I might as well just because all the Zoom conversations have timestamps on them.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when people have been like, no one ever said that you actually had to get vaccinated. Like when they start trying to pull that shit, then like the age of the internet where the internet doesn't forget and they're like, no one actually said ivermectin was bad. And I'm just like, I have hundreds of interviews with doctors, and in the bottom right hand corner, it has year, month, day, hour, minute, second. Like, and so I'm at a point now where it's like, I can only, the most I can do now is at least just like document what we know is coming with a timestamp. And so when some Tommy and Joe have a conversation in 20 years and they find this, they won't feel so alone. Like,
Right,
you're
right
not
on.
crazy. I know everyone, I know you think you're crazy, and no 0.1% of people see it, but I just want them to know that you're not crazy, right? It's the same thing. It's goes back to Carlin and Hicks, like, no, whatever you need, we'll create the enemy. And that's what it will happen. China will team up with the Azov battalion. That's what's coming. There's no
Yeah.
other way around it. And the real this is what will, I guess, ultimately make me just put a gun in my mouth is if we team up with the Russians to fight the Nazis in 20
Again.
again.
Well, I'm going to tell you that the only person who was sane at the end of World War II uh, was
Patton,
General Patton. And he said, listen, while we're already on a war footing and
just
everybody's
go.
already here,
We're already
please.
here.
Yeah.
We're already at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Everyone's tired. It's raining. Shit already sucks. Just grab the rest of the shit we need so we don't have to make another trip. We're already here.
Yeah.
He said, we've got the machine rolling. We've got what, 8 million men deployed. we're pumping out Liberty ships every 30 minutes. Like the
Yeah.
momentum's here. Let's go fuck them to death. And we didn't.
Yeah, and we should have. But hey, here we are now today.
Well,
Um,
you got to wonder then, was that incompetence or was that them going, well, hey, dummy, if we beat them, we're going to have no one to fight in a couple of years,
well, we're gonna have no bad guy that you can use to justify everything that we're doing, right?
which is what I think a year or two after that, it's when MacArthur started making that speech about, there will always be a boogeyman. We'll always find one in order to
Yeah.
justify like the use of resources at home. Oh, yeah, no, it was,
This guy wrote a book about that. His name was George Orwell.
yeah. Yeah, we've always been at
Always been
war.
at war with East Asia, right?
I mean, the more you read about U.S. history, the more you realize that Eisenhower's military-industrial complex speech was just like that was old
It's
hat.
wrong.
That was well, no,
Yeah,
MacArthur said it 15 years prior. Smedley
yeah.
Butler said it 14 years before MacArthur. It's yeah, it goes all the way back. Like the beast has been there since the beginning, and like it's hard not to get blackpilled
Yeah.
when you read about it, and you like Babe Ruth was still the talk of the town when these guys were talking about the military industrial complex. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'll tell you, that's a guy who's probably spinning in his grave right now is Smedley Butler over our neglect of Central and South America. I mean, that guy literally wrote the book on going to war in Central
War's
and
a
South
racket.
America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well,
Yeah.
he wrote War was a Racket, but he also wrote in the Marine Corps, he wrote a manual called the Small Wars Manual
Okay.
because every time there was a problem from Haiti to Nicaragua and South, they sent Smedley Butler and a couple hundred Marines, and he would go and he
His
would do it.
boys. Yeah.
And man, he's probably turning over his grave at our complete and utter neglect of the Monroe Doctrine in the Western Hemisphere, and it's about to bite us. There's about to be a civil war in Brazil, our last actual ally down there. They're claiming that there's a new right wing government been put in power in Peru, but that lady is about as right wing as my cat who lives off of me. He's a socialist. She's she's a total Marxist. Um, we have no more allies in South America. And my biggest fear has been having actually spent some time in the region in my service, has been a EU type organization spanning South America. And they all believe in something called the Reconquista that Mexico really believes in too. And it's that this hemisphere belongs to the indigenous peoples here and the Spanish slash Portuguese um, colonies that were here. So they believe that most of the US actually belongs to one giant conglomeration that used to be the Spanish Empire, spanning from Washington State over to Florida and all the way down to Terra del Fuego. So I'd be worried about that if I was literally anyone. The 1984 version of Red Dawn, that's literally what it was about, right? The Central and South American armies came north. The Russians were in it, but it was actually Central and South Americans that they fought. So be thinking about that.
Yeah. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but the more I look at it and the more history I read, I go, I don't think it's neglect. I think it's, I think it's completely competent awareness.
It
Go,
would have to be at this point, right? The sheer number of people we're allowing to just cross that border and the sheer lack of any interest in anything. For example, we sent down, this goes to your point, we sent down the Secretary of Defense, the director of the CIA to meet with Lula and Bolsonaro to tell them how it was going to go. And Bolsonaro said no. Why would we be advocating for Lula over Bolsonaro? There's literally no reason for that. So,
yeah. I mean, you then have to look at everything. It's like with anything scientific, is if the data is not fitting your model, then your model's wrong. The data is not wrong, right?
right.
It's we're looking at the sun and we're looking at the moon and we're like, those are circular, but we know we live on a flat square. Well, eventually you go, maybe we don't live on a flat square. Maybe we also live on a circle, right? You,
What? No, I'm
yeah, I
just,
know it's a big. If you're standing up, sit down. But you have to rearrange your model then because the data is just the data. The data doesn't care that it just is. Reality just is. So
Right.
when I see that, I go, my model is wrong. Now, is this the Great Reset, which is kind of like a, as much as it is real, it's, I also try to like stay away from it because it is such like a blank check kind of explanation for anything. Be like, oh, it's an all powerful world deck. And it's like, well, that's just, you can just explain away anything. That's just saying, oh, it's the Illuminati. That requires no critical thinking. So I would imagine it's by this, we're letting it fail on purpose. Now, is that for some, are we preparing for war in 10 years and this is somehow a critical step to whatever the fuck? I don't know. But I don't think it's incompetence. I think it's evil, but I don't think it's I don't know what it is. But if you're, wringing your hands going, why are we doing this? Why are we, again, it's right, we're giving all of our weapons to Ukraine. And it's like, yeah, of course we are. How else are we going to have the 2025 bill of the Make America Strong Again bill by whoever the fuck, and it allots an extra $400 billion of, emergency Raytheon manufacturing? Like, it's not an accident. Like,
Right.
I'm just trying to piece together like what it, if anything, just for the mental exercise and staying limber and going, maybe my model's wrong. Maybe what else could be true? What other variables am I missing? That's all I can think of is we're trying to deplete our own resources to so we can somehow usher in a new level of manufacturing of our own weapons. We want the EU to do the same because we want them to buy in on all of our shit as well, all of our new weapons. We want to bolster Russia and we want to embolden Russia in order for them to get in bed with China because we want a new Cold War. I just think there's bigger levels to this. Because
Well,
whenever
the only
I've
thing about that is this: there's the interim period we're in now where we have the lowest level of strategic petroleum reserves that we have ever had.
yeah,
We have stripped the National Guard of all of its weapon systems. They don't have armored vehicles anymore because we've given them all to the Ukraine. Our inventories of javelins and dragons and tows are all gone. Everything that we have anti-tank wise has been shipped away. We have a basic single loadout, which is enough for about 3 hours of combat left. And we've got enough fuel for maybe 21, 25 days of combat. So what's the end game at that point? You would think you would maintain some level of supply in the interim. We're not. We
well,
are emptying the cupboard. And Germany has even said, hey man, we literally have nothing left to send them, and we don't even have enough to field one full division of our own troops.
that's what I mean is someone in the Defense Logistics Agency has become aware of this before you and I have. There's a reason for it. I don't know, and this doesn't mean that it's 10 guys smoking cigars in the bottom of the Federal Reserve. Like, I'm not saying that, but there's a reason for it. Could be as simple as profits for Northrop Grumman. It could be a treasonous regime emptying out the United States so that China doesn't have to have the same worries that Hirohito had and set a gun behind every blade of grass. Well, what if you get rid of the oil and the APCs and now it's only guns behind the grass? Well, maybe that's but even that, it's like, so what? But then you have to kind of say it out loud and be like, so are we weakening the United States for a China invasion of the mainland? And it's like that that kind of seems absurd as well. So maybe there, it is
Well,
kind of weird though, because
but is it absurd? Because at the same time that we're doing this, we are allowing, without State Department review, the purchase of land adjacent to all of our major military bases by China.
yeah.
While we talk a lot about the illegal immigration along the southern border, a lot of those people are Chinese.
Uh-huh.
And for the last 15 years or so, there's been literally unchecked immigration in the Seattle through San Francisco corridor by sea of shiploads of Chinese fighting age men.
Yeah.
So Mark Sibley wrote a book that basically posits that, right? That illegal immigration from China has given them the ability to field divisions already inside the US without an invasion. Yes, an invasion follows, but they already have an asymmetrical army group
They already have
essentially.
their recon team. Yeah. Yeah. I just finished Wireless Wars by Jonathan Pelson. He talks
Yeah.
about, he's like, yeah, early on, a bunch of Huawei sales were shut down because they were seemingly buying contracts in podunk cities across the US. And then they like they overlapped it with like JSOC and like, the
Yeah.
Utah data. And it was like site for site. It was an overlapping of like our critical. And it was like, yeah, no, go fuck yourself. But
Yeah.
then again, that was like 8 years ago. Who knows what they've done since? So yeah. Is it a betrayal of the United States? It's
But in service of what? In service of a one world government? George Soros has repeatedly said on video that the one impediment to a one world government is the United States of America.
yeah. Well, that not well. There are legal and there are repercussions to things I say in this podcast. So never mind. But like, he's a bad fella. um, I mean, talk about an actual Nazi. Like
Literal,
a
actual
little,
Nazi.
not even like as off Italian little. I mean,
And like
Sig Heil Lederhosen. Like
even when he was being interviewed about it, the
that
the
was the
the
best
inter
times of his
the
life.
reporter tried to softball it and give him a way out. Yeah, but it wasn't that good of a job, was it? Oh no, it's the best time
The
I've ever
happiest
had in my
memories of
life.
my life is me and my dad hunting down Jews. They really gave him out. That they were like Alex Jones trying to give Yee an out. He was like, "Oh, you think Hitler's cool because like Hugo Boss had great uniforms, right?" He's like, "No, I like the Nazis." And Alex is like, "Well, that you know,
Okay, I
it's
can't really help you there then.
it's like,
But
bro, I
by the
try
way, that's more of that Black Hebrew Israelite ideology right there. Speaking of,
fucking
so
Yee going out there." Somebody made a good point. He wore his own executioner's mask because he was killing his persona. I'm like, that is poetic.
that is
That
poetic.
black mask he was wearing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what is that? Real quick, is that a psyop or is that a guy with $1 billion and undiagnosed mental illness just going
Now
fuck
I'm
it?
going to tell you, if you go back over the years, Yi has constantly referenced Black Hebrew
Oh
Israelite
yeah, no, I know.
ideology,
Yeah, I
and
know.
that's what that is. And at this point, he's like, "Yeah, don't even care." He saw that it worked for Kyrie, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it too."
You gotta part of me almost and I gotta be careful with how I say this. Part of me almost respects it because he has fuck you money and he's using
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Not
He's like, "Yeah, you can't cancel me. I'm already rich. What are you gonna do to me?"
people are like Rogan has fuck you money. He's allowed to interview people about ivermectin. I'm like, man, you want real fuck you money? You go on
Yeah,
Alex Jones wearing an executioner's mask and say, I kind of like Hitler. That's
right.
that's that's terminal cancer money. That's
Yeah,
but then you
I
got
literally have no cares left in the world.
I don't give a fuck. I mean, you gotta is this, they say like really good comedians will go out on stage and like dig themselves a hole to prove they can get out of it. Because like anybody can warm up a lukewarm crowd. It takes a real ace to go in there, piss off the crowd, and then leave with them cheering. You
Yeah,
think Kanye's gotten tired of being like a multi-platinum record and he's just like, I'm gonna fucking go on Alex Jones right after the Sandy Hook outcome and say, I like Hitler. Next year, I'm gonna have the biggest album of all time.
you know
Is
what?
he digging a
I don't think
hole?
that's wrong. There's a lot of people who think to me who keep coming to me. It's got to be a psyop. There's this is like 5D chess. No, it isn't. No, just a dude who's like, you know what? I'm just gonna say what I think from now on. Screw y'all, and that's really all it is.
I think that's what it is. When it first
Yeah,
happened, I was like, they're using this to shut down free speech. And then I'm like, this might be a guy who has reached the Mount Olympus of like music history. He's bored.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and everyone's like, oh, but he's in on this and in on that, and he's a friend
I
of this
think
guy, and
he
friend of the guy.
is.
Kanye's not that smart. He's
He's
not
not an
that
operator like
complex.
that. He's
Yeah,
clearly a brilliant artist. You don't amass that money being stupid, but like
absolutely.
I think this is more of like a Charlie Sheen early 20 teens, just
Yes, that's more
I'm
accurate.
out. Hitler was kind of cool. Ye 2024. Fuck all y'all. Netanyahu, you're a bitch. Peace.
Yeah. And Netanyahu is like, back in the day, where's my knife? I'm gonna go get that dude,
Well,
right?
Netanyahu's special forces. Netanyahu's going to kill Kanye.
Yeah, exactly. Netanyahu is not a dude to be messing around with. I'm
No,
just
no.
gonna put that out there.
He will also not respond to my emails. He will not come on the podcast. So,
Uh,
but what are you
you
gonna do?
should try.
I've been trying to get Bibby for a couple years now. Um, you know, the only way 2022 should end is Yee getting his Twitter account restored for a second time and him posting GoPro footage of him taking out that substation.
That's it. There it is. It was Yee all along.
It was uh, that's yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's also why I know that the most likely culprit is your government. Literally anyone who did this by now for a reason
Would have been
would
caught.
have said, I did this for a reason,
Yeah.
right? And because no one has, that kind of limits who it was. It reminds me so much of the bombing they want you to forget that occurred on Christmas Day a few years ago
2 years ago.
in
Yeah.
Nashville,
That
which I
RV where they announced on the intercom that a
yeah,
bombing was coming.
which I said again was also a proof of concept attack. They find these guys, they keep track of them, and then at some point they meet a girl. If you remember, here's the story: he gave his house away that morning to some woman.
Oh.
Reporters tracked this woman down. She's like, I never met this guy in my life. What is there to say he didn't meet someone with that name online that he thought he was in love with and all this stuff,
Wow.
and she convinced him to do it? That is exactly the MO of the FBI. Nick Cruz had a similar situation, the Parkland shooter. The guy they arrested in front of Kamala's new Naval Observatory home with a gun in his pocket, same thing. He was a guy that had been reported to the FBI. Nothing happened to him. They decided he wasn't a risk. And then a couple weeks before the bombing, people saw him at a bar with a woman. No one's ever identified that woman. We all know that the woman put him up to it. That's how they do these things. And the fact that no information has come out leads you to believe something. And Max Morton, he's a guy that I really trust. He's a former CIA.
I tried.
Max.
I tried to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, Max said just yesterday, he was like, listen, the level of coordination and amount of secrecy around this, there's no way it was anyone other than government agents. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Anyone else would have been screaming from the mountaintops that they did this
Yeah.
and the reason why.
I reached
So,
out to some ground branch guys that might come on and talk about it Monday. I'm
yeah.
kind of hoping they like slip up and be like, yeah, the reason they
Yeah.
they won't. They'll fucking
Man,
kill
it
me.
was tough getting out of the Motel 6 that morning with no lights.
Yeah. Woo!
Yeah.
They'll fucking kill me. That's my 5D chess. Is
Yeah.
by episode 50, I had interviewed Dale. People might say that was just an accident, and it was, but I like to think I was reaching out and establishing and building friendships with the ground branch guys, the very people that would be contracted to kill me if my podcast ever becomes too big.
There you go. Now you
Befriend,
got a
they're gonna go, I
little
can't.
early warning network, bro.
They go, I've been on a show. I can't kill Tommy. That's my only hope is I have to befriend enough Black Ops guys that there is a critical mass of people that are like, nah, I can't ice them. Or they'll miss. Like the bullet will go like
Someone will call and be like, is Paquito there? Like, there's no Paquito here. That exactly. There should be no Paquito here. And you're like, oh, I'm out.
I've
I
told
gotta
Dale,
go.
I'm like, Dale, if you ever get a contract to kill me, I was like, can you just let me know so I can at least call my parents? And he goes, oh, I'll just take the money and I won't do it. And I was like, I appreciate it, man. I feel like that's a form of love. You'll never hear Dale say I love you, but I feel like that's a form of love.
That right there's a binding contract too.
That's a friendship. If Dale says, I'll take the Black Ops crypto money and not kill you.
That's man, I got a little tear in my eye just
You
hearing
can't tell
that.
me that there's not still love in this world. Well,
There's
that's a Christmas story. Tommy befriended some ground branch Black Ops operators, and they said that, hey, we won't kill you at the behest of a new world order. That you can't tell me that Christmas is dead.
yeah, I mean that's from Santa right there. That's a little love.
That's right there from Santa. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll wrap this one up with kind of just one thing I've been thinking of lately. based on absolutely nothing. I've done zero research into this, and I've really only given about 10 seconds of thought. So this has about as much preparation as a fart on a first date. But how long until you could even just make like a quick throwaway? But a robot that just looked like a person that you could use to carry out these attacks. I mean, Boston Dynamics, then you take some like Hollywood makeup. This is truly something I've put like 2 seconds of thought into. But even just for one-off attacks, just enough so that a face is captured on a camera. And it could
Well,
be of the group that you want to suppress. So you would make it some far right hunting season MAGA hat wearing, but just enough that like we know the CIA uses like facial and even hand prosthetics when they're doing, I think, Billy Waugh in like Africa and Afghanistan and stuff, right? How long until it's just a like a
yeah,
Boston
that's
Dynamics robot with a bodysuit on?
first of all, that's
That
not that crazy of an
is
idea.
not 10,
It's
even 10
highly
years ago
likely.
it'd be nuts. Even 10 years ago it'd be nuts.
Even
But
10 years would be nuts. But the problem they have right now is the fluidity of motion.
yeah,
Nothing moves like a human being, right? And that's the problem they have with robotics. Even their sex bots is that they have robotic movements. They
yeah.
don't they don't move like human beings. They don't have facial reactions like human beings. So that's going to be the problem, is overcoming that motion. Because when you tell a robot to run, it has settings and it just runs. Human beings change direction, they change
Slow down,
speeds.
yeah, run out of breath.
Yeah.
Well, it could work in a situation like this, where like a lot of like closed circuit TVs, the frame rate is lower because they're just skimping on cost. That you don't need when you have a camera running 24 hours a day, yeah, put it at a third of the rate because so you don't have to use up hard drives. A lot of those, think of like CCTVs you see of like bank robbers running away. It's always like, kind of frozen.
Yeah.
That might kind of negate
That
the
would help.
the body
But then why
motion
wouldn't I just fake the video? It's a lot easier to
a
just
lot
fake the
easier.
video. For
I don't,
example, Georgia Guidestones.
yeah.
It's not
But
possible that no one approached it and it blew up.
yeah.
Not possible.
Yeah, how did they ever figure that out?
I gave a theory on how that happens. There is a way with specific wavelengths of light placed at various places on your body. If you walk directly at a camera with these lights on, you won't be seen on a camera and only the background will be seen. So it is entirely possible that that's how they did it, or they just faked the video.
And then
So,
just demolish it on their own. Yeah, that is kind of the point of failures. Yeah, just fake a video. But there would have to be a reason for like why you'd want a robot. You'd want to leave footprints. You'd want organic witnesses that,
yeah,
yeah. But that's just one thing I've been thinking is like, how far off is, I mean, talk about a perfect,
I would
it,
probably say somewhere in the 10 to 15-year range. It's not as far off as you might think, but it is still a ways off.
a ways off. But I mean, just, I mean, you got to think like, kind of put yourself in the mind of like DARPA or something or Ground Branch, right? You have an operator in some denied territory like Beijing, and they go back up to their hotel room and they slipped up and the authorities are on their tail. You'd want something that could just like a transformer just collapse and like into the size of a phone or something. You just find a pile
Well,
of
what's the
clothes.
timeline on Blade Runner 2036, right?
Yeah, you'd want something like that, or you'd want the next step would then be it would be nanobots. You would want something that could almost just poof into a cloud. And I know that sounds absurd, but that's exactly how you would do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, there's been some interesting fiction about that, and fiction is never far from the truth. But I want to point something else out now that you brought it up about predictive programming.
Mm-hmm.
So you've seen the Blade Runner movies. You
Yeah.
saw the remake of Running Man with Colin Farrell, right? Where the money has Barack Obama's face on it, which
Mm-hmm.
first of all irritated me. But what do you notice about the background of the cities they live in both of those movies? Everything is in Chinese.
Oh, yeah.
Got
That'll
it.
that'll do it too. Yeah, predictive pro. You gotta wonder is that part of it? You're shifting the programming to get people to accept it as a truth, right?
Yeah, this is what the future looks like. China.
Yeah.
So just some little food for thought. I mean, China's had so much influence over our media that when the new version of Red Dawn came out, it was written as the bad guys were the Chinese, and it came out as the North Koreans. So draw your own conclusions. Who don't actually have the capability to do any of the things in the movie.
No,
Um,
they
there's no way North Korea could ever invade the U.S.
North Korea has like computers from the 70s.
They what? Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
yeah, no. It's Jesus. Yeah, I don't know. I
Best
really don't know.
technology 1981 had to offer.
Yeah, even they did like a Pentagon report on like their like massive like army of artillery like pointing at Seoul, and they're like, yeah, like 0.3% of them fire.
Yeah,
Yeah, they don't work. They're like covered in hay and like cow shit. Yeah, I
that's
don't
life in
know.
North Korea. It's an
Yeah,
interesting thought process, though. Hmm.
yeah. The
How
more
long before replicants are real?
I don't think that's like an absurdity at all.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't not just the idea of well, robots never get tired? No, you would want something that can't be caught. You'd want something that could break into 100 constituent pieces and fly away as a drone swarm.
Or could erase its own memory so that you'd have no idea who sent it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fuck Manchurian Candidate MK Ultra. That's so old school. You working with these humans and maybe the programming didn't work. Fuck that. Yeah, you'd want to.
Barack's like, hey, now wait a minute, wait a minute. I need my
It's
job.
worked well. MK Ultra's worked very well. I mean, I got to the highest. I mean, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, and it comes out that the attack on like the substation was a fucking DARPA robot. I mean,
I've heard the first one they're going to use for an attack looks an awful lot like you.
oh
So, you know,
fuck. That's how great it would be if it's just it's just the worst deep fake ever. It's just copy and paste of our faces from a thumbnail. It looks like early like South Park, how it's like like stop animation. It's just like
couldn't you use Photoshop 1.0?
it's just like our faces are enlarged and like the lighting isn't changed at all. It's just us clearly from this episode moving on these like grainy black and white videos. Like and like the mouth just yeah.
What's
Like
funny is you just said all that. Now it's going to happen, and we're going
predictive
to
programming, motherfucker.
because your assigned agent is like, oh, that's actually a good idea. Write that one down, Bob. All
Hey, if I
right.
have an assigned agent, can you guys get the views up? Can you, if Langley's got a tab on me, can you guys at least give me, if I am your controlled opposition, you'll eventually use me as a Manchurian candidate of sorts. Can you fucking boost the subscribers? Can you give me some algorithm love? Can you get this going? Can we get this party started?
Right? I don't know. You got way more subscribers than I do, so
Yeah, but it's still slow. I mean, guys, if you're gonna use me and drive me into the ground and eventually hijack my brain and use me as controlled opposition, can you fucking let's get up there on the subbies. Let's get some views. Let's start breaking 1,000. Let's start breaking 1,000 per episode. If we're gonna do this psyop, let's do it right. Let's give it the old college try.
listen, let's do this the real way.
I
All
fucking
right.
show up to my own handlers. I'm like, if you're gonna ruin me, let's do this correctly. This is what I would do. Start
I
pointing
think
out
a
my
partnership is really a better way to do this.
I'm like, hey, what are we doing? You guys aren't even attacking me. You're not attacking my insecurities. You haven't started coming into my apartment and leaving drawers open. Like, if we're gonna do this psyop, let's do it well. You haven't impersonated my parents. You have yet to just call me and breathe on the other line. Like, let's do it well.
I swear that sometimes I come in and things are not where I left them. Now that you said that, great, thanks, Tom. We're not gonna be able to sleep tonight.
Well, that's also maybe the first stages of schizophrenia, which I don't know. So well, in conclusion, DARPA robots and or Kanye did the substation power attack, and you can take that to the bank. That is factual.
Take it
It's
to the
not
bank.
slander. And I don't know. Go buy Joe's books. Go follow him on Twitter. I'm banned from Twitter. Joe's not. He is still a shining light, a beacon in this dark, dark world. His beautiful smile. Follow him as he is not banned yet. Yet.
Yet. I'm
Yet.
working on it.
Working on
It's on my to-do list.
it. You'll get there. I believe in you. I believe in it. Elon still hasn't reinstated me, which is I know a lot of people would say it's because your account is negligible and you have almost no impact in the cybersphere. And I would say that's not true. There's probably deeper machinations going on. I would like to imagine has something to do with the Department of Homeland Security, Putin, the moon
Probably.
landing.
Have you tried logging back in? Because a lot of people are just logging in and finding that it happened.
Yeah, no, it's permanently suspended.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Deep state,
no,
baby. It's me. I am it's like the departed. Are you a cop? I'm not a cop. I'm fucking filling out my role as an actual anti-woke campaigner. I'm
There you
fucking
go.
9 levels deep for the CIA.
Yeah, the rest of us are like level 71. You're like level 142.
Dude, I'm so fucking far down the rabbit hole. I don't even know who I work for. I don't even fucking know. They're like, is he ours or not? I don't know. I think he's pretty
I don't even
malleable.
remember who I'm supposed to be supporting
I think he's
anymore.
pretty malleable. It's just gonna. I'm. It's at the bottom of it all. I'm fucking black Hebrew Israelite. That's what it is. It's the
That's what it
ultimate
is.
deep cover. My fluorescent Irish Catholic skin. No one ever saw it coming. It's the opposite. I've been in whiteface for.
Totally a deep cover asset.
I've been in whiteface with blue contacts in for the last 1,000 episodes.
Nice. That's commitment to a goal right there.
It is. It
It
absolutely
is.
is. Well, I think we've departed all the realm of factual discourse, and this is just now
That
we're
way
keep
though.
we're keeping our khakis crisp. That's all.
Yes.
That's the only advice I'd have to people in this disorienting fifth generation warfare world is just
Yeah.
keep your
I
khakis
think that
crisp.
my parting thing is, in addition to keeping your khakis crisp and your blue jacket ready, is I would just pay a lot of close attention to Monday. In addition to the power threat on Monday, there is also the threat of a civil war starting in Brazil,
Oh,
which will have impact here. So
oh, and also Monday is the 3 year anniversary of this podcast.
how
That's how
about
you know
that?
I'm deep state. That's how you know I'm deep state, baby.
It all happens on the same
It's
day.
all coming together. I'm so
Maybe we should
deep.
do a maybe we should try to do a live stream as the power goes out on Monday to celebrate.
I'll do it. I don't. Yeah, let's do it. I'll do it. I don't give a shit. It's just me sitting here with James Clapper. I'm like, happy you came, Joe. Happy you came. I'm like, you've come so far. I wish you had just kept putting out your books. You had to keep digging. It will just. It's all. It's.
Well, this is it. Everyone gets mad because Joe Stradamus here. I have a pretty good track record of predictions coming true. So
So
I'm
give me
hoping
a
I'm wrong
positive
on
prediction.
Monday.
Give me a positive predict. Give me a good one then. If you
All
if
right.
you're programming reality, give me some optimism.
I predict that tomorrow I'll eat at Maggiano's restaurant for dinner.
Fuck off.
That's
I'm ending
positive.
this podcast.